All right.
Dan's a good guy, but he'd call me out.
Yeah, no. All right. I think we're live. Audio. You guys got audio on your end?
I hope we
Aaron, Sean, Joe. Everything good? I don't know what's going on. Let me double check on YouTube's. It's a delay, so they're probably waiting.
Could be.
I'm sure. There we go. They're not even listening. All right, thanks, Sean. Hey, VC. Thanks, guys. I know there's a delay, so that beard is whole. They said. Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
It's getting a little out of control again.
We better get this thing on the frickin' road, dude, because we got some random encounters and shit to go through.
Yeah, let's roll, man.
All right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Let me record here. Gaming NBS episode 383 being recorded Monday, June 13th, 2022. Oh, God, you gotta be kidding me. Why does that not work? Son of a bitch. Oh, man, I'm so super pissed because I checked this out this morning and I'm wondering why it's not
You just
there.
did it when I was on with.
I had some electrical issues today and I think that's my excuse.
Why not?
Fucking son of a bitch.
Well, here's what happened. I was wiring outlets in my basement, and I fucked up your house. It happens.
You screwed up my house.
Why not?
Jesus.
It's a Stephen Wright joke. I've got a light switch in my house. Don't know what it does. To turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. Got a call from a lady in Germany that said, knock it off.
All right, I'm going to try this again.
All right.
2022! Welcome to Gaming NBS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome back, folks. Welcome to the show. Second to last, man. Second to last. This is 383. Wow.
Shit, man.
We're on the penultimate. Was this the penultimate show? Is that the deal? Is that just before the end?
I don't know.
This is like our last supper of shows. Oh my gosh. There, I just committed blasphemy. There, I think I've cussed and sworn some horrible things, and now blasphemy. Okay, yeah, all right, good.
We're gonna go out with a bang.
We're going out big. Well, we were more popular than Jesus, so we had to stop the show.
This is not the last one for those that are wondering if it's the last one.
It is not. We've got one more in 2 weeks.
Penultimate, Sean Stevens.
Penultimate show. All right, so Sean, how the hell are you, man? What kind of gaming did you get into since I talked to you last?
Dude, I played Broken Compass.
Broken Compass?
Yeah.
I know nothing about this.
It's by an Italian, Tiny Mice, I believe is the company. They had a big Kickstarter. The Kickstarter put it out there. It's very pulpy. It's based on, it's got its kind of, it's inspired by like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Romancing the Stone, blah, blah, right? And so that was Two Mice. They did a Kickstarter. They're Italian company, and then they ported it to English, and they have, it looks like a journal. And then you got a pencil thing on the side and all this.
Oh my God, I'm on their website. That looks really cool.
So the way it is in a nutshell, so I played Digital Hobbit ran it for us, Mirko. And then I played with, let's see who was all involved. It was, I'm trying to think of all the players. Oh my God, and I'm having a brain fart because it was only a couple days ago. It was yesterday, actually. Wow, I'm losing my brain. I'm losing my mind. It was Roger, Harrigan, and
Mirko, and you.
And me, and there was one more player. Who's the other player? Oh my God, Harrigan's in the chat. Tell me, dude. I can't believe somebody's like, dude, you forgot about me.
So while you're trying to remember,
Malcolm.
Right.
Yeah, Malcolm. The reason I haven't played with Malcolm before, so
okay. So it's twolittlemeice.net. TWO little mice, all one word. Two little mice, all one word. .net, and that's the Broken Compass website.
And they What was I gonna say again? Darn it! So it was just an intro kind of run through, and I might pick it up. It's the way it works is you don't really die. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot. Everything is kind of a fail forward, but it's D6 die pool, and you have to make it's all the same number, but it doesn't have to be any specific number. So you could have 2 1s, 3 1s, 3 3s, right? It's all matches. And the more of one number you have, the greater success you have. So you could have, say you have a die pool of 5 dice and you have a full house, like you roll a full house. So then you have a critical success and a basic success. And those things play a role in the challenges that you face. And so it's very straightforward, simplistic, I think. Very narrative based, kind of, I don't want to say kind of, but there is a narrative component of it. And I think the people that will get hung up on it are the ones that aren't used to rolling and then narrating kind of what's going to occur from their perspective, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, it was good. It was fun. It was like 3.5 hours. And then played Forbidden Lands. The Bitter Reach still going. We
Awesome.
Got our ass kicked by another harpy and some ghouls. We did okay. No deaths. Slowly but surely make it to the Bitter Reach. That's all my gaming. And then I got a Delta. I'm still trying to get the Delta Green game off. Tomorrow night, we're probably going to meet and do session 0.
Awesome.
So there you go.
I had I was up at my cabin this last weekend doing some maintenance work up there. Brought AJ with me, and then we played. I got 4 expansions for the version of Talisman that I have. We laid that out, played a bunch of it. Had a lot of fun exploring the expansions, which we hadn't played together before. I hadn't realized I had never played them. I'm like, oh my God, I have had these forever. I've never used these expansions. Let's try these. And in the process, we found out we were misplaying 2 pieces of the rules. I can't remember them exactly, but AJ's like, looks like we've been doing this wrong for a while. Like, wow, son of a bitch. And we played Duke, which is a perennial favorite for he and I up there. So we had a really good time doing that. Earlier, let's see, last week, Tuesday, my game group met and we played, had my my Pathfinder game, my Wastelands game, which was a lot of fun. They uncovered more stuff. There's a lot more the last couple. I did a game master thing where I was watching the group and I'm like, something seems off. I'm not quite sure what it is. I was just talking to the guys offline, poking around after the previous session. And it dawned on me that a lot of the combats and the big encounters they've had have all been big encounters. They've been very epic. I mean, and not epic, but a lot of, huge lore dump encounters and a lot of like the creature there. It was massive. It took a long time to, oh my gosh, it's dangerous. Oh God, geez, fucking scared. And I realized that they haven't had a chance to go back to earlier episodes, an easy win. We haven't had a decent grind through where I'm pretty sure they're going to win, right? Or that it's going to be a more standard type of combat. So I pulled out a more standard type of combat. We had some semi-specialized undead and a few other things, but it was stuff I'm like, unless they play really bad and forget, or the dice go completely sideways, this will be a fair match. And it was it was a very good tactical game session. A lot of throwdown, shooting, dying, flipping around, doing all sorts of stuff, swords flashing, all that good stuff. And it was, at the end of it, everyone was smiling and went, yeah, boy. And I'm like, that's what we needed. We needed a night of just a good old slobber knocker. Just sit down, throw hands and come out winner. So it was the right medicine for that campaign. This Saturday, I'm not playing this Tuesday because Saturday I've got a longer session at the house here. We're gonna run probably I think like a 7-hour game, probably dinner in between, whatnot. But there'll be more revelations and newer and some cool stuff coming. So it's been really good. And I gotta say, this coming Friday, AJ had a belated birthday party. His birthday's in April, but he decided he wanted to wait till summer so we could have his friends from down in Richland Center up where we used to live to have a longer weekend of it. And he asked them, I said, do you want me to run a D&D game type thing for you guys again? He goes, yeah, absolutely. He said the guys really liked it. So he was talking to his friends online. They were playing Xbox or something. And they said, hey, is your dad running again? And he said, yeah. And they said, I want him to run more. They're like, what does that mean? It's just like, apparently when you ran for only 4 hours last time, that wasn't enough. They wanted more. I'm like, all right, so I'll crank it up a bit. And a lot of AJ's friends they're not as serious a gamer as AJ is. They're much more, hey, we show up and play games. And it's fun. They have a really good time doing it, but they're not reading rule books. They're not digging into this stuff. So I explained to AJ when I said, what rules do you want? He goes, 5th edition. I said, are you sure? I said, because you and I, especially you, are going to have to be sure that the rest of your 5 friends, you're managing their characters for them because they forget stuff and they don't understand and so on. He's like, I don't want to do red box. I said, how about swords and wizardry? And I showed it to him. He's like, I don't want descending armor class. I said, don't worry. It natively does ascending armor class. He's like, oh my God, I'm in. So I dug out the old swords and wizardry and pulling that sucker back out. I was on the on our Discord, asked a couple questions and got some help from a few folks pointing me at some really good stuff. So pretty pleased. I'm excited. I've not run Swords and Wizardry. I've read it a couple different times. I'm going to reread the rules. They're really short, not that hard to get to. Oh, and I want to make sure I shout out Laramie Wall. Laramie did a really good job, or I should say really good job, like it was a task. But he said, hey, because I'd asked for some decent pre-gens, and he hooked me up with the right type of setup there. So that was awesome. But man, I tell you, this is, I think, going to be the right kind of medicine for this group because it's got the right level of crunch, not enough options and features that they'll feel like they can do different things, but it's not overly tactical, complicated. So I think it's going to work well. Looking forward to it.
Sounds fun, man.
Should be good. So before we go any further, are you going to make GameholeCon this year, do you think, or are you still?
Dude, I really want to submit some events, but I really can't afford to do that and then have them canceled. So I'm going to do, my goal is to get a job and then I have to go to work. And if I'm around people, then that's like, hey, if I'm at work and around people, I should be able to go to a con around people.
Yep.
So that's the plan. That's assuming I can get a job before October.
The only thing I was talking about it with my wife, and I'm like, I really, really want to go. And I'm trying to decide, should I put games in? Because depending what happens family-wise with my mom and my dad, I'm like, so I've got dad, Father's Day is coming Sunday. So dad's coming over, spend some time with him, tell hunting stories and hang out and talk about mom and what's next and how things are going. I'm just concerned,
Sure.
Because I was worried when I was gone in Canada on my hunting trip. I was like, I'm not there and I can't get back. What if? Now, granted, I can't live my life that way. Always worried about it type of thing, but I'm trying to.
Well, and you're also not in Canada. Like you're.
Yeah. I mean, I am in Madison. I could drive back in a day.
I don't know. What is it? 2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah. 2.5, 3 hour drive, if that. So, yeah.
But I get it. And I think everybody else will too. So,
I want to make it happen. Even if it's like go down and I don't have any official events or something, just to see people. There's a lot of really cool gamer friends and people that we haven't seen. I haven't seen folks in person for a while. So it'd be great to see some of the BSers who I know are going to be there, especially, and a few other folks that are friends that we just haven't seen. So anyway, hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, if you want to submit an event to GameholeCon and you're wondering if you should or can put it under our banner, so to speak, even though we won't have a podcast going, the answer is yes, you can. We encourage you to put in Gaming MBS Lives.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Kind of like the old campaign Vecna Lives.
Yeah, that's right. So
yeah, I like it.
There you go. If you don't, that's cool. Whatever. That's up to you.
Absolutely. Anything else, man?
No, man.
Let's random encounter, brother.
Random Encounter, segment of the show where we field emails, voicemails, comments from social media. I've got 2 voicemails and a few emails. So, First one is a voicemail from Mr. Chris Shorb on the last episode, Are They Lying?
Hey, Brett and Sean, it's Chris Shorb. I wanted to call in. I guess we were kind of running up on the final call-ins here on your conversation about lying. That's something that has always, I'm so glad you covered this topic. That's something that I've always found problematic, especially in your D&D type games, but even in games like Dungeon World and other games. And I guess the question is, what is the purpose of a non-player character, whatever type it is, to not be telling the truth? What is that purpose within the game and within the, what is that trying to get toward the players? And to me, what it does is it inserts a little, it injects a little uncertainty for the players. It makes them a little more cautious because they don't want to, they don't want to just kill everything, because sometimes those people might hold the critical clue or might be a valuable resource going forward. But they don't want to also let everything go. They don't want to just believe everybody, because clearly in D&D the common trope is for an ally to stab them in the back. And so there is this tension when you encounter any NPC of whether they're lying or not. However, I guess what I would say is that when you want someone to lie, if an NPC is lying, what can happen is the players get locked up. They're like, I don't know if he's telling the truth, if he's not telling the truth. And that's about the time when I want to throw at them either the insight check or whatever the game is that lets them somehow determine a way forward with this character, whether they're lying or not. You guys are covering a lot of the mechanical aspects of it, which I think is great, and I'm continuing to listen to that. But I guess, Mike, the question I just wanted to throw out there is, what is the purpose to the player characters, and what does that bring to the game, and why do we insert that into our game? Anyways, thanks.
Why do we insert it into our game?
That's a damn good question, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of funny. It's because we say, boy, it's a pain in the ass when that happens, because it sure causes problems, only to realize that we're the jerks that put the lying SOB in the game in the first place. That's our problem. It's our fault, right? I think Chris hit it on the head, though, is the idea is to have a questionable narrator or untrustworthy narrator. You want to have some uncertainty and doubt. And sometimes it's a matter of, why are they lying? What's the reason this character would lie? Sometimes that's a piece of the investigation. You meet the person who doesn't want to tell you this thing. You think their wife is the head of this cult, let's say for a Call of Cthulhu type of thing. And you're questioning the husband, you've got him cornered, and he's lying through his teeth. Like, okay, is he afraid of her? Is it this? Is it this? Is she really not? Blah, blah, blah. But I think Chris is onto something there. Having the NPC lie for the fun of it, y'all digging your own hole. Like you got yourselves in that one. You shouldn't have done that, right? But if there's a reason for it, if there's a in-game reason, I don't want to betray somebody, or I'm unsure of you as player characters, you haven't proven yourself in some case, or whatever it is. How do you get past the lying? And I do think Chris is also, it's a smart move. And I think we did talk about this a little bit, was at a certain point when the players are banging their head on the, I don't know, the indecision wall, they're smacking it going, Jesus, what do we do? Having someone make that check, that insight check, or something to help them get it moving, because they can get stuck. And I think the lead in though here is smart though, from Chris's perspective. Why are they lying? If you're only having them lie because you think it'd be fun to mess with the players, well, hey, guess what, pal? You're the one that had the lying NPC, and you're the one who just messed with the players, and now they're spinning in the circle of doubt. They don't know which freaking direction to go. Come on. You kind of did that to yourself, so type of thing. So, Sean, what do you think there?
I always think that you should have somebody that is not telling the truth, but they think they are telling the truth because that's what they were told by person B.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Because then you could say, hey man, I'm telling you the truth. Insight check. Yeah, they're telling the truth. Oh, okay. And then they accuse him of being a liar later, and he's like, I didn't know that. Yeah. This person told me that.
One of my favorite ways to do the insight check in a case like that I've done in the past is from your insight check, let's just say, tells you that as far as this person knows, they are absolutely telling you the truth. If they have bad data, they still believe it. They believe 100% what they are saying.
Right.
When you meet the person and they're like, really? You really think, Father Dagon and Mother Hydra are going to rise up and cleanse the earth? It'll be a better place to live. Yeah, I do. You're like, oh my God, he's fucking nuts. Yeah. Wow. Look at that guy. He believes that shit. Yeah. That's good, Chris. Thanks, man. Appreciate you calling in all these years. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
What's next?
Email.
Is this Hermetic Gamers?
Yeah.
Okay. Want me to read it? Or you want to read it?
Go ahead, man.
I'll start then. Okay, Hermetic Gamer, aka Chris D. I always screw up Chris's last name. So
don't say his last name.
I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to make an ass of myself. So Chris writes in and says, I can't believe the show is coming to an end. I want to thank you both for countless hours of what always felt like hanging out with good gamers, chatting about what we love, no matter what I was doing while listening. So many lawns cut, meals prepped and cooked, bathrooms and kitchens scrubbed, walks around the hood, just plain daddy needs not to hear you children. Times you guys were making it valuable, fun, and always entertaining. I very much respect your choice to go out on a good note when it felt like the right thing to do, and I will truly miss this. It was at times of parenting young kids the only thing that kept me from feeling connected to the larger gaming world. I wish you the best in your future endeavors and hope sometime to sit, chat, and maybe even roll some dice with you. Well, first off, Chris, thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I'm glad we were able to do something to help you out, man. As a parent of multiple children, I know exactly how you feel through a lot of that. He's got more, though. So second thing, I wanted to make 2 comments on lying in games. The first, of course, is a gamer story because, hey, that's what we do, right? Gen Con vampire game. The basic scenario was everyone was elders at a conclave deciding the fate of the city and who they were going to support as leader. I was a Sabbat infiltrator. Someone else knew there was an infiltrator, but not who. The person that most suspected me was a Tremere and wanted to read my aura to see if it was tainted. At a quick chat on the side with the GM, that a bracelet I wore would hide my true aura, the idea I made up on the spot. When the guy asked me to take off my bracelet, I made a tear-jerking story about it belonging to my sire and their tragic end and my promise to never move it. Then had everyone all emo mopey. So the guy backs down, reads my quote-unquote clean aura, and now trusts I'm not the infiltrator. I then used that trust to influence him to supporting the person I was backing, who ultimately gains enough support to win the city. No one figured out who the infiltrator was until post-game, and the guy almost... until the guy I'm most psyched out was blown away that it even been me. All this was done with role-playing. It will always be one of my favorite gaming con moments. Very nice. A second comment about how to handle lying in game is that kind of goes along with Sean's idea of just tell them. There's a brief run of network drama crime show about lie detectors based on the psychology researcher that was an expert in it. In the spirit of the famous adage of psychotherapist Irvin Yalom in his fiction book Lying on the Couch, that everyone lies to their therapist. The gist of the show was everyone they were investigating was lying, but that the interesting part was not that they were lying, but about what they were lying. So this person's not lying about having stolen money they're the suspect about, but having an affair with someone, and that somehow relates to the real case. This to me seems to be a more interesting way of handling lying. Sure, they're lying, but what are they really lying about? Is this what you suspect they're lying about, or something different that leads us somewhere and moves the story along in a different way, but allows it to move along? As Brett might say, does that make sense? I'm sure I'm going to miss this gaming bright spot on my podcast feed and will likely still go back and listen for a sense of gaming community when I feel lost. Best to you both in all your endeavors. Most importantly, thank you. Sincerely, Chris. So I tell you, Chris, I think you hit on the last piece, especially hit on a lot of the things that Chris Sharp was touching on as well, like a reason for the lying. Chris says, I think as you're laying that out, and Sean, that just those two seem to be kind of head to head on that one. Having a solid reason, and then the reason, it helps you make the story move forward. You're able to do something with it instead of just being this annoying thing kind of got in the way and slowed everything down.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a messy thing sometimes. And if somebody's got it, like, this is the way I do it and it works really, really well, great. But I always find it like just this weird, wonky thing, because it's partially how it's partially saying, well, this is how you feel. And some players hate when you do that to their character.
Oh yeah, telling you, RPG, hey, this is how your character feels, without it being like, really, why do I feel that way? Well, you think it's a spell or something. I mean, being, as my buddy Letty would say, don't tell me what to do.
Right.
Right. So as soon as you start telling people what to do, how they feel, how they act, and so forth, it gets weird.
Yeah.
And when someone's lying to them, I mean, that's just a natural piece. I mean, most people would tell you like they hate being lied to. Nobody likes it. I mean, it's not fun, especially when you're like doing the gaming adventure thing, and literally your life or the life of your loved ones is on the fucking line.
Yeah.
Right. The fate of the world is banked on the fact that I can't get this person, that person to tell me the goddamn truth. That's a problem. Right. Excuse me. So I could totally see where, if it's tricky as hell, but I love the ideas that we had here from Chris, Hermeta Gamer, Chris D, and then back to Chris Shorb too. Both of Chris's are dead on here with the pull that together. And again, Chris, man, thank you for listening all the time, all these years, and all the feedback and friendship there. So that's just awesome.
I've known Chris for a long time now.
Really cool, dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
Over to you.
All right, next one is Roger Bracelet about hanging it up. He's responding to our.
Is he calling BS on our answer? Let's see what happens.
He says, "Hey guys," because we asked him like, "Well, why did you ask, or did you have some suspicions?" So now he's.
Oh, okay,
right?
Yeah. There we go.
I'm listening to the latest podcast, and you wanted to know some of the reasons I thought you might be hanging things up. Before I start, Sean, what? You couldn't pay the bills for the last month of the podcast so you could have your soundboard? It's like you're already half gone. Because the last episode, my sound didn't work.
That's true.
So the main reason I thought you guys might be getting done is you're repeating topics. Even if they aren't the same name, it's similar content months or years later. I thought you might have just found that you're repeating yourself and you've said everything you want to say. Other things come to mind. Friendship blowout. Maybe Brett finally looked thoroughly at those old AD&D books Sean gave him and found the pages were blank and it was all a big hoax.
Oh my God.
Maybe Sean was sick of Brett getting all the Gaming and BS groupies, catering to his every whim, and was calling it quits. Yeah, that's
that.
I can't hide we can't hide anything from Roger.
No, we can't. Sharp-eyed man.
Right. Or maybe your wives said, playtime is over. I need you around on Monday nights.
that one might have legs. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe, but not. No, that's not the case. Thanks for telling us like it is. I look forward to your next steps post Gaming and BS. Hopefully I'll see you around. I mean, Brett was really, really close if he was in coastal New Brunswick. Just saying, Roger,
I was super tempted to get a hold of you and the main contingent. But it was flights and it just sucked. If I was driving, I'd have more time. I think there's something to be said about the repeating piece. And have you said everything? We'll talk about that more, of course, in the AMA. No doubt someone will ask us, when we talk about what's coming next and so on. But there is a certain point when I think, as Sean and I said, we're just done. It's run its course and so forth. And I really don't think there's much more to throw in there right now. Sean, you good?
We'll make something up in like a few months, some conspiracy theory, and we'll spread it around as a rumor. So stay tuned.
I guess, what's really cool though? I mean, Roger is one of the OGs, right? I mean, he was around from like single digit days.
Yeah.
Written in, talked to us. He and his wife happened to be, they organized a trip. We got to meet him in person at a Gamehole Con. It was great.
Yeah.
And Roger's he's been a fixture of the Gaming and BS scene for a long time. So, when I see your name and I see other folks out there, Chris and other people have written in and stuff, and I'm listening. Damn, man, you folks have been around a long time. with us, hanging out and just putting up with our shenanigans for this long. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And then lastly, but not leastly, have an audio from our friend and moderator of our Discord, Harrigan. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, here we go.
Brett and Sean, this is Harrigan. I'm going to try to keep this short. Thank you for the podcasts, the conversation, the topics, the arguments, the opinions, for the games you ran, for the community you built, the cons you attended, and all the connections that you forged. From me, from everyone else in BS Landia, thank you. Your objective was always to make the show like a conversation in a bar, and I think you succeeded wildly. When I decided to really roll my sleeves up and get back into the live play part of the hobby, I listened to a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but something about gaming in BS was always different. The reliable format, the production values, everything we learned from die roll, and of course, random encounter. Some other podcasts read viewer mail or played recorded audio, but the way that you two engage with your fans, and then the way that the fans engage with one another once the forums and Discord really got rolling, that was the secret sauce. Anyway, be proud of what you accomplished. It is no small thing. Good night, good gaming, and good luck in your future endeavors to be positive forces in gaming. I hope to see you both at GameholeCon so we can all raise a glass together. Cheers, boys.
Damn, that was cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Harrigan.
That's very nice. I think I've told this to Sean many times. And I know I'll say it again tomorrow. Not tomorrow, on our next show. We record the final one. That the community build out, I will put that 90% is Sean. Right, want a good community, knows how to build one, and one of the coolest things I think is that all of the folks, the men, the women, everybody who's been over there, everybody, all of them, all of you are really, really nice to each other. And that's really fucking amazing. You know, all it takes is log on to Twitter, kids, and go see who hates who, right? And I do not see that. I never saw it back in the Google Plus days. That was not anything anybody tolerated in our group. We never tolerated that in the forums, right? Somebody get in an argument, like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. And we would kiss, make up, and we would move on. And our Discord moderators do a great job, and everybody's nice. And, you know, we disagree on some stuff. I know there's things that I read out there once I'm like, man, I don't know if I buy that or whatever. I can say, well, that's not for me, right? Harrigan's got a piece in the Discord where we were chatting about Symbaroum, the 5e stuff, and he mentioned trophy, and I mentioned the fact that the trophy, the title and the image for the trophy RPG rubs Brett the wrong way because of that. I'm a hunter, and trophy hunting is a toxic term, and so on and so forth. I explained it in there, and I said, I'm sure the game is fine, but it hits me bad. I don't like it. Harrigan was like, interesting. Didn't know that, right? There was no fight. There was no like, yeah, but the game's good and you're being a douche. She was like, I could express a thing about how it impacted me, and then everybody else around there went, oh, interesting. Okay, didn't know that. Well, the game is good, and we talk about the game and so forth. And I think that type of discourse on our Discord is really awesome. And I think, Sean, I know I'm going to say it next time again, but you did a hell of a good job, man. I don't know how to build a community like that, but you did all the right stuff, dude. So you did it, and you should be really proud of that, man, because you did a really hell of a good job.
Man, I just opened the door and set up the Discord and forums and just told people to create accounts and go there and don't be assholes. And you know what? Look at that. It just go figure. I
just love that we don't have the drama bullshit that like the Twitters has right now.
Man,
just don't get that shit.
A lot of people don't want that. They just don't. They don't, even if they're on Twitter, they don't want that. And, I keep up with, Augie, can you go away? I keep up with the drama on there because sometimes I think it has some relevance. But, that's the people that are BSers. I've mentioned this before, especially around BSerCon back in January, even leading up to it, December. We'd get a lot of people that would join the Discord because they're coming to the con, right? But I always get nervous about somebody that's coming, and I say, "Hey, great, welcome. How did you hear about it? How did you hear about the Discord?" Because if their response is, "Oh, well, I heard about BSerCon, or I just came across it," that makes me nervous because they don't know the podcast. And if they don't know the podcast, then they don't know what you and I talk about and our views on certain things.
Yeah.
Like literally, Black Lives Matters, trans rights,
Being inclusive, being a decent
love who
fucking
you
human
want.
being sometimes.
Right, yeah, stuff like that.
All that stuff.
Yeah. And we don't have to stand on a pedestal and beat our chests over it, but it's important because if somebody has a problem with those things, it's probably not a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, if you have yes. Yeah.
Right? It's that simple.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You want to
It
be
is that
inclusive, but that there you go. That's and then we get good people that are on there, and they there's been a few people that have come and gone, and that's okay.
Well, totally. I mean, we've said this before, is that any gaming community, any gaming group, sometimes they last a long time, sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes you get along with a thing, you come into a podcast, you fade away from a podcast. All that stuff can happen. I've gamed with a number of different people over the years, and I know, Sean, you've had a ton more. I've been very fortunate that the core of my gaming group is, 25 plus years old, whatever the hell we're on now. But all that said, I've had a number of different people in and out of my gaming group. Some of them I don't talk to anymore. It happens.
Right.
And but the cool thing is the people who are there, the regulars, the people who interact and talk in our community they're just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
They're great people. I never, if I have a question about a game, and no matter what the game is, or I'm wondering, geez, am I doing this right, or whatever, I can look around, see who said something. I can ask a question like, hey, does anybody have some good pre-gens for Swords and Wizardry? If I ask that on Twitter, if I ask that in the wrong group, I'm going to get, can't you fucking Google that? How come you're an idiot? Or Jesus Christ, it's not so hard to make characters. I'm not here to be put down. I'm asking if somebody had something to help with. And what did I get? I got bam, bam, bam. I got 3 really good responses. People are willing to help. And those who, if somebody's, we don't feed the negativity back to each other, which is just awesome. So anyway, enough said.
Yeah, we're blessed to have friends and members of the community that they are. Like, that's just, you guys make it easy. Like, we're not always having to pull freaking teeth out and pull our hair out every day. Like,
exactly.
Jeez, Anyways, thank you.
All right, man.
Right? Shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Get into the main topic. God damn.
Let's do it.
What are we talking about this week, Brett?
Well, man, we're closing in, and I thought, let's talk about, shit we've learned. Somebody may ask some of the stuff in an AMA the last episode, but I thought, there are some key pieces that I think I've learned, or I feel that I've learned through this, 7-year run, however long we've been doing this, and I know you and I have talked about this off the mics, like, boy, I learned this, or, hey, this is really cool, and so on. And I thought it would be interesting to call that out, because one of the things we talked about over the last for the last 7 years, but heavier, excuse me, was some of the introspection stuff. Like, what have you pulled out? And I think sometimes it's interesting to see where you came from and where you ended up, right? So let me go. I'll start here. So I had at the beginning, a softball for me was online gaming. Sean talked about it. I'm like, geez, yuck. It wasn't a thing. I'm like, oh God, I don't fucking want to do that. Oh my God, it sounds terrible. And, it's pretty fucking sweet. And it was one of those things where had I not listened to Sean and listened to the listeners, those of you who gave feedback, like, hey, I'm running a game online. Like, really? Holy shit. Because I had this thought in my head, like, well, that's just, it would suck if I had to run games online. Like, that's the last resort, of some poor sucker who can't find a game group, right? I felt like it was this last desperate grasp for gaming. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's how it first came off to me. And the more I've watched and listened, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to participate in this. And Sean's the one that got me doing it because you were running a D&D game. I got in on that. Then you ran Star Wars for me. I got in on that. I'm like, this is pretty fucking fun. Wow, this is really cool. I'm in my house. This is comfortable. I got a good chair.
Yeah, and
being able to play with people that I'm like, I'm gaming with folks that I cannot see in person like ever. This isn't going to happen, right? I'm not going to, or maybe I will once a year. I'm not going to have a chance to sit down and game with, VC Young on a regular basis every week unless I'm doing it online type of thing. Or I can't game with you, Sean. I mean, I even when I was down in the Madison area, I was still an hour away. It took me an hour and a half to get to your house, right? Just from my place. I'm not going to drive there once a week to game and so forth. Online gaming was like, I'm like, holy shit. It was not revelation per se, but it was an eye opener for me. Like, all right, you gotta try this shit before you knock it too much. Don't get that predetermined notion in your head, Brett. It's pretty good stuff.
But Brett is, to be clear too, he's talking about pre-pandemic, like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pre-pandemic. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Early on, way early on.
Yeah. Yeah. Kev Thulu was one of the first online, like he's the furthest one, right? Like
yes.
in the group, I think.
But I'll tell you, man, when the pandemic hit, I'm like, well, we got a game online. I'm like, that's okay. I'm good at this. I got my chops.
Yeah.
I've run a few. I've run a bunch.
Yeah.
It was like when my home gaming group was like, we gotta go online. I don't know how to do this. I'm like, I got you. Roll 20. Wham, 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 wham. They're like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. This is, well, thank God. Not as good as in person, but man, whoa, thank God. This lets us still game.
Brett, did you know you might be as the game master in your Streets of Avalon game? Do you remember that? The online one?
Yeah.
The stream?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if you were the first online game of one of those players?
Yes.
Yeah. Nola Burt. It was his first online game.
Really?
Yeah. Was
holy
yours.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm honored. Yeah. Honestly, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Nola's a hell of a gamer too.
Yeah, there you go.
Nola Burt's a damn good gamer. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think right around that time, it might have been kind of well, people do it, but it's not my thing, and I got a home group. And then I think it started taking off, and it's probably right around when streaming was going on, but I think it was fairly early. That was a while ago.
But I'll tell you, man, I recommend it now regularly.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it for years.
It's the only way I fly, bro.
Well, we talked about it for years. Even when we were gaming in person, we did game periodically online and be like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gaming with friends of mine that I can't see in person because of distance and time and so on. Fucking A, awesome.
I'd be dead in the water. I'd be dead. I literally would be dead in the water. Pandemic would hit. I'd be like SOL. And I haven't played with the Jeff group since pre-pandemic.
Well, because I dove into it, then the Streets of Avalon podcast that I did, the Wednesday evening podcast thing that I did with Chris and Kev Thulu and that crew, it was that really helped from a publishing perspective. That was great. But from a fun perspective, that's still I love that campaign. I love it. It was so much fun. So goddamn much fun.
Yeah.
It was online. It was awesome. Yeah, so Sean, that was my first one. What do you got? Anything? What did you learn?
If we're gonna do the swapping back and forth thing, mine, I think I start. One of the ones I have listed is prep is overrated.
I'll tell you, man. When I first met you, you prepped the living shit out of your games.
I don't know.
Seriously, compared to me, when we first started, we'd have offline conversations. And I'd be like, just make that up. You're like, oh, no. Because you're like, oh, no, I'm reading published or pre-published, however you want to say. I'm reading these adventures. No, I got to read all this and I got to figure out. You were prepping like a madman compared to me. I'm like, oh my God, that guy put so much effort.
Everybody preps like madness compared to you, Brett.
Well, yeah, it's because I'm awesome. No,
Brett's like, anybody want a game right now? Like right now, I can do it.
Okay,
like,
let's go.
Top of my head, let's go. Here, I'll just tell you what your characters are. Okay, write this down.
Exactly.
Strength 16, intelligence 12. Yeah.
You've changed your prep strategy though, and just kind of how you. And I think
Well, maybe.
Well, yes, no.
Well,
maybe.
so now I'm going to run Impossible Landscapes for his Delta Green guys, and I'm going to probably get dragged back into, nailing down some notes and things of that nature. We'll see. I don't know. It's the thing about this campaign though is you got to have your proverbial shit together as a game master. You're gonna get confused players.
So I'll tell you right now, though, the fact that you were looking at saying this campaign requires this for me, Sean requires that. I really want to get this kind of campaign right. I want to get my proverbial shit together.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. Hey, but I'm going to run a Forbidden Lands game. I don't need because I know how.
Yeah.
It sounds this is corny, but that's part of the growth and learning process that I think both you and I went through through the 7 years, is like looking at certain things and going, I need this for this and not for that. And that's totally fine. Like, look, if I was going to run Impossible Landscapes, I think I'd be in the same spot you are, man. I would read and reread and really try to commit to memory and verify and so forth, because I wouldn't want to fuck that one up. It's a behemoth. You kill a person with that book. That's a heavy duty book. We
were talking about full Broken Compass, not Full Compass. That's a company here in Madison. Broken Compass. And one of the things we were talking to Mirko about afterwards, just kind of feedback wise about our take on the game, he ran it was probably the adventure in the back, I think, of the book is what it was.
Okay.
He said he thinks that it's probably better run off the cuff or having just little notes, because you can pivot things in the moment. Like you can say, hey, okay, this is what's happening. And frankly, in a pulp game like that, I could totally see how you would set up the scene, and then depending on what the hell goes down, right, you inject something, and then you roll with it. And then based on the basic, success, critical success, those things start to, it's high action, what's the chase like? Okay, you didn't shoot the car and the car didn't veer off, but because it wasn't high enough success, but you had one. So a tree falls in the middle of the road, blah, blah, blah. Where if you're looking through a pre-gen adventure, specifically like with that game, it might be a little clunky.
Yeah, I get you.
Right? But the ones with, I think the prep that I would get into are the ones that are a little more complicated plot-wise, or there's a lot of masks of Nyarlathotep. Like, dude, you can't just wing that. You got to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If you're going to wing that one, you've got to be prepared to, if nothing else, take post-game notes.
Yes.
And say, wow, we did 16 things that changed the course of, what does that do? It's like you've got to have your beautiful mind room where you're remapping and your strings are going all over, like how you change that sucker up.
Yeah.
Because that's complicated. Yeah.
But I think for fantasy games and things of that nature, I would try to abbreviate that prep significantly and just be like, whether I take Sly Flourish's or Mike Shea's method of, all right, here's a couple things, here's some surprises, here's some interesting locations, and go, right? So, yeah, that's mine. One of mine.
So to go back to one of mine then is, I think that there is the curated RPG system. When I talk about that, we've talked about that here before. So the definition of a curated RPG is like, say, Night Witches or many of the PBTA games, right? That's a very specific game, specific setting, specific feel, Bluebeard's Bride, and so forth. They are
not toolbox games.
They're not toolbox games.
No,
They're not toolbox games as I've defined them, right? And Sean gives me shit for saying, because I'll be like, I can do that with X. And Sean's like, yeah, you can, you dumb fuck, but it's easier too. And I'll tell you right now, you look at games like Vaesen and so forth. Yes, I could run a Vaesen game with something else. The amount of work I'd have to do it as well as Vaesen does, I'm not ready to put that work into it, right? I'm not going to do it. And a really well-designed or well-put-together curated RPG, I think, is wonderful, because you know exactly what you're getting. D&D is the canonical, hey, it's the most popular game, blah, blah, blah. But the tricky part about D&D is that everybody plays it different. Matt Colville's got a great video on it. Like, he's talking about the fact that it's difficult to talk about D&D because who plays rules heavy, who plays rules light, who plays with tactical gamers, who plays with a mix of tactical, non-tactical gamers, and so on. Sean, you and I talked about that video he did, and it's a really good one, and it's difficult in those type of game systems to hash certain things out, because if Sean is a fly by the seat of his pants, rule of cool, blah, 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 and I'm in my group are very strict, tactical, by the rules, 5 foot squares matter, everything, facing of the miniature actually matter, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a hard time discussing certain noodly bits of the game simply because it's not what we're not playing the same game the same way. And some would even argue it's not even the same game. Some people might say.
In one of my professions, Brett, and as I'm looking for employment currently, what that is referred to is fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not that they're not qualified to play the game, Brett.
Is it a fit?
I don't know if this person's a fit.
Fit.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because Sean has experience.
Exactly.
But is he a fit?
Fit.
Right.
But I tell you, after, again, Sean talked to me about it, and it's one person. So he's a friend of mine, good friend of mine. So obviously Sean tells me stuff like, yeah, okay, I buy it, but man, I don't know. And I listen to BSers. I listen to my cons, the feedback we get, the stuff I see in the social, our social circles and stuff. Like, okay, there's definitely something to be said here. You pay more attention to it, and you look at it, and I get it. And now when somebody tells me, hey, I really like this, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Would you want to play this one? I don't know if I do, but I totally get it. I absolutely get it. It
only took Brett seven and a half years.
It took me a while, but I got it. Yeah. No one said I'm fast, Sean.
Well,
no one said I'm fast.
It probably doesn't hurt to have the exposure of the community and the talkie.
No, it does
yeah.
because no, it absolutely did. Because when you look at it, if it was just you and I talking,
right?
Like, yeah, Brett, but I've had this experience. Yeah, I played a similar game and it fucking sucked. Okay, plunk. We just two rams bouncing off each other on the mountaintops. We're not getting anywhere here.
Right.
Now I've got Forster Gary gives me a position. I got Harrigan who talks about something. Eileen talks about something. I talked to Ange at a con. And I'm like, okay, these are smart people who I have interacted with. I know and trust their opinions, and they're telling me some really kick-ass things. I got guys like Tim DeShane telling me some cool stuff. I'm like, okay. Yeah, let's at least be smart enough to know that we don't know everything. So, okay, cool. What else is out there? So, a really well done curated game is really cool. And one of the other experiences I had really recently, both in recent years, is my buddy Nick Conan 2D20. I liked the game system. I liked the way it played. I did not like the way Nick ran it because I wanted X in my Conan feeling, and he couldn't produce that for me. And he actually said to me the other day, he goes, you need to run a Conan game. I'm going to give you all my books. You're going to run a Conan game. I'm like, well, he goes, no, dude. He goes, you know more about the Conan world than anybody else in the group. He said, if anybody's going to hold it to its thing, that's you.
I think you should play in one of Gabe's.
That's not a bad idea.
Gabe's a literature major. Like, he's the real deal with literature and some of the things that he appreciates in there. And he's 2D20 Conan guy and against the Dark Master. So, but,
Right there. So first off, Conan, and then basically Middle-earth role-playing.
I mean,
two things I love.
He has explicitly said, I'm wondering how it would be with Brett in the game like this, because he's got, probably some preconceived notions of Robert E. Howard and Conan, and, there's different authors of Conan too.
Yeah, the rest of them suck, but that's okay.
So I don't know, man. But it's interesting that you said that you like the 2D20 mechanic game, the mechanics.
Yeah, and that was a piece though when I started looking at all the other curated game systems. Like, it's designed to evoke a certain effect, right, for the Conan world and so forth, and similar to the Warhammer, the 4th edition role play that I'm in right now. My buddy Alpha's running. The way it functions and so on. So anyway, that's a piece I've learned is there's some beauty in those systems, especially really well done ones. And sometimes it comes down to the fact that somebody may tell me about a game system that is in a curated type of scenario, like, ooh, this PBTA game is this, and this. Huh, that sounds great. I have no interest in it. because I don't want to play that particular game in that world, in that setting, right? Night Witches. I don't know what the rule system is. It sounds wicked interesting to me, and I'm really glad that game exists. I haven't bought it, right? I don't have a hankering to run that game. However, the fact that it's out there is really fucking cool. And when someone talks about it, I'm like, it sounds like a kick-ass thing. It sounds really cool. If someone were to run it for me, I would play it. But I just,
as far as I'm concerned, the best game ever made, hands down, is yet to be made.
All right.
I think a kid somewhere, 12 years old, is going to make that game, and I'll be probably on my deathbed. On my deathbed.
That game, that's the best fucking game.
When he made it, when he was born, I was 50 years old.
I love that kid. Giggle over. All right, Sean, back to you. What do you got?
Opt in, man.
That is a big one, dude.
Dudes, I don't want to sell. I don't want to peddle my wares and convince somebody to buy something that they're just not interested in purchasing.
I started doing that with my home group because of you, dude. I started looking at it going, I want to run this game. Who's in? And I'll play. I got one guy, JR, was like, that one doesn't sound interesting. Okay, next. Then I'm going to play. I'm playing this. This is what I'm running. I'll run it with 2 players or nobody. Whatever, but this is what I'm going to do. It's either this or everybody or whatever, point is like, I'm not, if out of the 6, 7 guys I play with, if 3 of them are like, I'm not interested, don't play then. The rest of us will play.
That's tricky. That's hard to pull off because home groups, they don't have that a lot.
I've said this before, is that my group is more like a gaming club. We play lots of different stuff and different people run things.
Yeah, but it's not like you got 20 or 10.
No, but Nick likes to run Star Wars. Lenny has no fucking interest in that at all.
Brett is not Star Wars, even though he does it.
Yeah, I'll show up because I like Nick and I want to support Nick. I'm like, I have fun playing. I'll play. Let's play.
That's what we say in corporate America. Team player.
Team player.
That's
me.
So if we were to interview Brett, we'd say, well, is he a fit? I don't know, but he is a team player.
Team player.
He's a team player.
Exactly. He's a team player. But I think that's the opt-in is big, dude. I think that's really important. It's another way to go about it. It may not work for everybody, but I tell you, it's helped me a lot.
It is. Really, I'm telling you, man, it's trying to convince a group like, hey, I want to try this other game. What's it about? What do we do? What's the character sheet like? What's the mechanics? I don't know, Sean. I really like 5th edition. I really like PBTA. I know, but just give this a shot. All right, I'll try it. There's people that will still try things, right? They'll still be like, I don't know, I'll try it because I haven't played it before. But there is a genuine interest when they say, hey, I'm going to post this game I've always wanted to try against the Dark Master or Broken Compass or whatever. But it is, and that's why I think if
it's one of the reasons why online gaming is so fucking cool. You can find those people.
And here's the thing. Here is the beauty. And this is where I think people have a hard time. And it's weird. It is weird, man. I'm in the people business. It's weird. We fall in love with people that are bad and we hang on to them for years. Brett has been divorced. At one time he wasn't spiteful. He's not spiteful to your ex-wife.
I'm not horribly spiteful
no,
anymore.
I know. But I'm saying at one point you were fondly in love, but you're not anymore. And I think there's this weird thing about I can go and game and try this other game with other people. And guess what? These other people may actually become my friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
dude, we've talked about this. There are many people that we used to play with. Like, if you had a gaming group back in the old days when the world was young and Sean and Brett were in our teens, which is forever ago, if you knew 6 people you played with, that was it.
Yes.
Unless I went to a gaming convention, which I only knew of one existed in Wisconsin. Right. I only knew of Gen Con. If there was another one, I didn't know where it was. I just heard about it, right? And it wasn't a thing you did. excuse me, it wasn't a thing you did outside the couple of folks you played with until I got into college and I started meeting more people and different people. Like, oh, there's other gamers. Oh, there's new people. And some of the guys I used to game with moved away. I could make new friends. I could try this different thing and so forth. That was the big awakening. Even then, it was still, of course, there was no online gaming at the time. Shit, we still had dial-up modems, for fuck's sake. But there was, it was that old, Sean. Anyway, point being is that you, there is a mentality. I think maybe it's an our generation thing. I don't know if that's true, Sean, or not. But where if you played with these 6 people, you don't ever leave the family. It's feet first, right? I mean, that's how you left the gaming group, right? Like, no, I can bail out of here. You know, and I'm going to piggyback one here is this goes directly to, I have one on my, what I learned is don't waste time playing with people you don't enjoy being around.
Look at that segue, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Took me 7.5 years. I got a good segue.
No, it's good.
And I think it ties in there nicely because at a certain point,
It should just be on a shirt. I got to get these shirts for things written out. I don't play with assholes.
Exactly.
Like, number one seller, man. Kickstarter. $1 million Kickstarter right there. Shirt. I don't play with assholes. Mic drop.
Because there's so many people. I mean, we've listened to people who have written in over the years, and I'm like, Sean and I hesitated a couple times, and we would talk about it off the mics early on in our podcasting time together and be like, should we just tell these people don't play with these people? It sounds terrible. You know, I remember this. I can't pick it out because it's been a long time. But on occasion, you know, you listen to somebody in a con or something like, oh my God, you were playing with a pack of dicks. I can't believe you play with these people. My God, they just sound like assholes. You know, and I hear these horror stories about people doing this, that, and the other, and people feel trapped because like I only know 6 gamers, which is why when I'm like online gaming, man, get out there, make new friends.
Get out of high school, go to college,
go somewhere else, make new friends. Because these guys, these the men, the women, the folks, whoever they are, they're just pack of dicks. They're terrible to play with, and life's too short to do a lot of shit. We've talked. I mean, you can think about that, but this is my hobby, one of my hobbies, and if I'm going to spend time in this hobby, I sure as hell want to spend time playing with people I like. I've never had a bad game with a group of BSers. I've run a couple different games with BSers. Awesome time every time. Every fucking time. I played with the folks from my Streets of Avalon podcast, the first one I did. Awesome time. Loved every fucking minute of it. Don't bother playing with people you don't like. I mean, seriously. If you go to a con, you end up with a dick at the table, you're like, man, that person's just terrible. God. Whew. You don't ever have to play with them again. You can move on. But man, if you've got a gaming group and you don't like it or whatever, I know it might be frustrating. It might be daunting or whatever. And it's kind of flippant suggestion or advice, but man, don't play with people you don't enjoy being around. Because if you're going to spend 4 hours every week, 6 hours every other week, whatever your gaming schedule is with a pack of dicks, why are you doing that? Don't do it. For your own safety and sanity, don't do it. Don't do it.
You just got to have the confidence enough and garner the oomph to put yourself out there to meet other folks. And there are tons of communities out there now where you can just walk in, and if you keep in mind though, don't make the one bad apple spoil the bunch, because that was a rash of stuff in the 80s and 90s, and I'm sure it happens to this day. Just be wary of that one experience with the one a-hole, and as long as that's hard to police, so
it is.
Don't let them ruin it. But if there's a rash of them, you gotta exit stage left, like, or stage right, whatever.
And let me tack this one in here. I'll do a double segue, man. Is that I found out through this process, I realized, and I say this at risk of sounding horribly arrogant, I am a better game master than I thought I was.
Shut up.
I was very nervous to run at cons. I was very nervous to run online with people I wasn't very familiar with, who weren't my close friends. I'm like, what if I suck? What if I suck outside the little box I live in, right? What if I'm no good at this? I was very worried about that. And I think it's very easy to have that opinion, because a lot of gamers, we are looking at stuff like, oh boy, we're having a good time. I really like doing this, blah, blah, blah. I got to make new friends. I have to make new friends with a skill set, right? Because I'm showing up to this game table. I'm going to run a game for people I don't know. What if I suck? Right? That's if you're not me, maybe you don't have this problem, but I worry about that stuff.
Well, if I'm in the game, tomatoes are flying. So
yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've learned that from Sean. Yeah. I put up the screen.
You haven't,
put the screen.
Been hit with a tomato?
A lot of rotten fruit flying.
You're all right.
But I think, and the reason I brought that one up is the thing I've learned is that I'm better at this than I thought I was. I'm not saying I don't have more to learn. I want to learn more and so on. But I think one of the things that all of us as gamers within the hobby is that if you're gaming and you're putting your effort into it, and this is your hobby and you're growing and you're trying different things and so forth, you're most likely, I would say 90 percentile of us, we're all better than we think we are.
Oh, for sure.
Because I played with people online and at cons, like, man, this is my first con or my first online game or whatever. I didn't know Nola Bert's first online game, but the way he played, man, I would have assumed he'd been online a ton of times playing games. And I played with a number of different people at cons, like, oh, I never played this game before. Holy fuck, I didn't know. It's great. And we are all better than we think we are. And that's a piece that we should take as a confidence booster. Yeah, we can all grow. I get that. But when you want to try the new thing, you want to go out to the new gaming group, I'm here to tell you, folks, you're probably more competent than if you're anything like me, don't worry, because you got it covered.
We have another thing, corporate America, called the Survey 360 or the 360 survey.
Oh, yes.
You familiar with that, Brett?
Mm-hmm.
Where you take questions and you answer them. And they're usually based around you.
Yep.
And then you have some of your subordinates, maybe peers. And they take the same thing and they ask them about Brett.
Yes.
Ideally, the self-aware, self-conscious person, or I don't know if those are the right terms, but typically you're hardest on yourself. Right?
Correct.
And then the rest of the peers and colleagues are like, no, he's really great. He's awesome, super. And Brett's usually the hardest, right?
Yes.
If it's the opposite, you're in a little trouble in the corporate world.
Yeah, in the corporate world, that's what's known as a wet fish in the face. Like,
I have had a boss that has happened to, and they were out the door.
Yeah.
And I still like her, honestly. But that's the thing, right? It's the self-awareness, humble. I think there's a little humility behind that, and I think imposter syndrome is perfectly normal. But what Brett is saying is, rest assured, you're probably pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if nothing else,
better than you think.
Yeah, you're better than you think you are. And most of the other people you're going to be playing with are probably very, very similar to you, because guess what? They're gamers.
That's right.
Those folks you're playing with, he, she, they're there to play a game. Play the game. You know how to run a game. You know how to roll dice. You know this game system. Do it.
I have to give Augie some treats, so he'll leave me alone.
I see that.
He's pissing me off tonight.
So we're going to throw another one in here. I think, Sean, this dovetails in yours about, I love learning about gaming and playing. I love learning about being a GM, about being a player. I didn't realize it until we started doing this podcast more and more, and I realized that some of my favorite articles in Dragon Magazine, my favorite books were things like Robin's Laws, John Wick's Play Dirty, Never Unprepared, Phil Vecchio and stuff that he did. Those are great. I love reading that stuff. It's fun to read. It's fun to listen to and so on. Even if sometimes like, oh man, I don't agree, or, oh yeah, that's cool. Or, oh yeah, right on, sister. I'm with you. That's awesome. I love it. I really, really do. I can sit at a bar at Gary Con. I've done this. I've sat at the hotel bar, talking to BSers and other random people wander by, and we start talking about Call of Cthulhu. And next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later, and we've moved on to Rollmaster, and we moved on from that to Dungeon Crawl Classics to something. I mean, we just talk gaming and theory and ideas and so on. It's really fun. I love learning about this stuff.
It's great, man. It's to understand. Well, and that's saying something too, because I think there's some people in the world that, and maybe that's cool. They got it. Hey, I got this.
Oh, I have all the answers. Okay.
I've been driving since I'm 16. I could drive a car. Okay. Got it. No problem. But, for those of us that I find it very interesting to see how other people run their games and take notes, mental notes from them. And I don't even watch a lot of streams or listen to a lot of actual plays. It's not really, I don't know why, but at the same time, how other people handle specific things like, we mentioned Tim DeShane bringing up the hidden roles and stuff and Astonishing Swordsman, Sorcerers, Hyperborea. And it was, okay, that's kind of cool. I could see how I would probably implement that. That might fix the problem about lying all the time in my games. How do I, the stupid frickin' kerfuffle I always keep running head first into. So it's fun. Yeah.
So I've got one that's kind of a weird little tactical piece I want to call out. Mm. And I brought this up to my kids the other day because I was running D&D for AJ and Alana. And AJ said, "How do you spell that?" I said, "Why do you care?" And he looked at me like, "Well, Dad, I want to know how it's spelled." I said, "Write it down phonetically." He's like, "But what if I spell it wrong?" I said, "They're your notes. It doesn't matter." I started doing this myself. And here's the deal. Someone would say, "We're on the road to the temple of Akamitsu." Akamitsu. I spell it however the fuck I need to spell it so I could say it again. So I want to be able to say it phonetically. It doesn't matter if you can't spell Calorel the Vile.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does, Brett.
Why?
Otherwise, you can't be like drizzed. Like you can't. You gotta have the D apostrophe R, no vowel, Z. Yeah. Like, what would that character be if you spelled it like it sounded? It's like, come on.
But remember, these are your notes.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with Brett on this one.
No one else sees them but you.
I think the best settings and the best worlds are all with names that could be pronunciated 5 different ways, make complete, no sense at all. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. All right.
That's what I'm saying.
You're a crazy son of a bitch.
There's not Seanland. That boring.
See, so I could SHAWN, Sean. Gotcha, right in the heart.
Hey, Roger, remember when we wanted the real reason this thing was getting hung up?
That was it. Right
there you go.
Brett's an asshole.
I do agree with you, though. I do agree about the land. Somebody said the high mountains. Oh, call them the high mountains. Fuck, great. Doesn't have to be this goddamn tongue twister that's written in frickin', I don't know, foreign planet French. I don't,
Doesn't have to be, yes.
Put in 5 apostrophes and an umlaut. Like, what the hell? I don't get it.
The other thing I have kind of in connection with that is I didn't realize I did it until other people started to bring it up, was I source the table a lot. And sometimes I'm doing it without asking anybody. I'm listening. I'm paying attention to what's going on. And someone will say something like, "Boy, I really hope," or "Man, wouldn't it be nice if," "Boy, I'll bet this could be," like, "Ooh, that's really cool. I bet that, I'll do that in 2 sessions." "Ooh, wow, I'll take a note." Right. So I am pulling a lot of things from my table when I'm running. And I've learned that as a game master, I'm like, I find that shit invaluable. When the players are telling me things that they wish they could happen at the table while it's happening. "Boy, I really hope we get to catch, this bad guy. We'll give him his comeuppance. Ooh, if we ever catch the Witch Queen or the Lich Lord or whatever, we're going to do blah, blah, blah."
You're walking down the street and you look to your right and out of the saloon walks
the Lich Lord, son of a bitch. But listening to that stuff, I pick up a lot of pieces. And what I've translated that to as a player is when I think about something cool, I'm like, wow, this would be really cool. I will throw that back to my game masters. Right? So we'll say something in my Warhammer game or in Nick's Star Wars game, like, "Man, I'm willing to bet blah, blah, blah." And Nick will smile, and I'm like, okay, he might not do the whole thing, but I just told him something, or I told Alpha something that I think would be cool to have happen. I want this to happen in the game. I think this would be fun. And they're taking note of that. They're paying attention to me. They're listening. Much the same. I'm listening to everyone when I'm running. And when I hear that stuff, I'm like, this is really, really cool. And I think you don't have to sourcing the table doesn't have to just be, Sean, give me the name of 3 people who, work in the town. Great. And tell me the name of so-and-so's mother. That type of sourcing is very rudimentary, in my opinion. But I think the next level of it, if you will, or the next phase or really cool piece to help your improvisational components is listening to what's going on at the table and listening and sourcing it for those really kick-ass ideas, right? When someone says, man, I have been hoping since we first heard the rumor that X would occur. Did Brett forget that rumor that I dropped 5 sessions ago? Maybe I did. But holy fuck, Nick cares about that rumor. Wow, Ange cares. Okay, let's pull it in. They care about it. They've mentioned this, so let's make it happen. And I think that's a key piece for me as a game master. Again, when I'm taking notes as a player, I joke about, I kind of joke to Sean, I spell shit phonetically because I want to make sure it works. Just take your notes, make sure you can read them back. But as a game master, one of the key pieces I'm taking from notes is like, what do my players want to see? What do they think would be cool? Even if they want to see it, and I twist it a little bit, it's not red, it's purple. It's not this, it's that. It's something slightly different, whatever it is, but it's close. That's just wonderful stuff. And I think that is a really, and I learned that from listening to the BSers, that I'm doing this and I need to keep doing it. And I need to amp it up, actually. And I think it's pretty important. Anything else on your side, Sean?
I didn't have it listed, but I think like probably stars and wishes and things of that, like feedback mechanisms. Yeah, that come into play. So some of the things that prior to the show may not, that's the thing with this show, in this kind of reflecting in what we've learned after the 7.5 years. And I think I don't know about Brett, but I would hope that most of the things we're saying is directly because of the show and not just like after the last 7.5 years. But
no, this is all showman. Okay. Absolutely.
And it opens your eyes to a lot of different things just in general, right? You're more conscious of it, even if even before the show, some people could throw this in front of me and I'd be like, okay, great. I'm going to go play with my home group or whatever. So stars and wishes and some of those things that may not have been brought up in, if I weren't in this space, however you define that. But it's good. You got roses and thorns and things of that nature, but stars and wishes, it's like a no-brainer because and people could, it's funny because you could do this without calling it stars and wishes. Like Brett could go, hey, what'd you guys like about the last game?
Yep. It's similar to the lines and veils. It's similar to X card stuff.
Yeah.
In a way, because quite frankly, when I first heard about the X card, I'm like, the fuck do I need that for?
Yeah. I was like,
then it dawns on me, you dumb ass. You've been playing with the same pack of assholes for 20 years. No kidding. You know them like the back of your hand.
Sure.
These are my best friends, right? I know these guys. If I'm playing with Sean, I know what I can and can't get away with. Right. I've known the guy for a long time. So now I say things like, okay, are there anything that's out of bounds? Blah, blah, blah. If you don't like something, you say this. If I'm playing online, I don't have a card, something for someone to tap. I say something. I will tell people at a con, I'm running this game. This is the way it is. If you do not like something, we go through a process. I explain what that process is. You do this thing, I stop it, full stop. No one will ask you why. If anyone does ask you why, I will stop that conversation. We will carry on. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? You don't like it? I've got a spiel I go through. Everyone goes, okay, cool. That sounds great. I've had it used a couple times. People are like, I can't do this. You're saying no, I am saying stop. Okay, done. And we move on. And no one at the table has balked at it.
Yeah.
At any con that's happened. And that concept then I think opened me up from an inclusion perspective where I didn't think about this. I set a bunch of characters up. I went to a con and I realized that every PC I had were white men. Every pre-gen PC. I'm like, I'm a fucking douchebag.
It makes run and forget about it a little tough, let me tell you.
But I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I had players at the table with me at a person of color wearing it. They were gay, and you could see they, I'm a gamer.
Sure.
Ask me, blah blah blah. And another person next to them, again with trans. I'm trans, blah blah blah.
Right.
They're obviously literally on their shirts. I'm like, I fucked up. I looked them all in the eye. I don't know if Angela Murray will remember this or not, or if I was able to cover my stupidity. But I looked at everybody and said, these are ideas. Scrap them, rename them, come with any other picture you want. This is something I put together that I've used in the past with my game group, which is exactly what I did. And I said, but this is not a limitation. I do not care what you do. And I apologize if I'm offending anybody. And the two gentlemen across from me, they both nodded, smiled, and said, I'd like to change this. They changed the name. They changed the nationality. They changed. I said, that sounds wonderful. We went with it. I felt like a complete fucking ass.
We got some blind spots, man.
I just hope to God that at the end of the game, everybody said they had a really good time. Everyone shook my hand. They said it was wonderful fun. It was great. But I'm just saying, I learned from this group, when I say this group, this gaming podcast, and then that gaming specific group, I need to be smarter about that crap, because that was fucking dumb.
You know what, Brett? We got something in corporate America where it's like, hey, tell us about, something where you might have failed.
Tell us about a time.
And you might have learned something, right?
What'd you learn? Yeah.
A perfect example of a scenario where you ran into something and probably not a success, but learned a bit. You overcame the.
And I don't do it, and I do not do it anymore. And I was very, very fortunate that the people at my table, Angela Murray included, were very kind, and nobody called me out for being a prick, because I realized at that moment I could have been that asshole. Right?
Yeah, you were one Twitter storm away from.
Yeah, I could have been that dickhead.
Gaming and BS. Done. Boom. Right there. Yeah. Would have been finished.
I could have been that asshole. And instead, I realized what I'd done. I looked at these sheets and went, oh my God, I'm an idiot. And I said, here's the deal. I just called it out. This is a mistake. Do whatever you want. I am very sorry. We will adjust. My bad. And I meant it. And I meant and I mean it now. I mean, I meant it. I feel bad about it. And I don't think I've ever.
Well,
this is literally years ago. This is like a long fucking time ago too. It still bothers me, and it was one of those pieces where I'm like, I'm never fucking doing that again. That was the dumbest goddamn thing I could do.
Yeah, well, and I chuckle because I think you're being a little hard on yourself, and I think I tweeted the other day. I was literally at an interview, and I worked in sales and stuff, and so you go in, and when you're waiting for somebody to come and greet you when you go to their place of business, usually it's a little, you don't sit down. Right? Because if you sit down and Brett comes out to meet me, then I stand up. Right? So when Brett comes out, he's looking down at me. It's a weird thing. It's a human thing. So I tweeted that. I'm like, don't sit down when you're sitting there. And my buddy Joe, who I used to game with, is like, well, it's great if you don't have any handicap or something that prevents you from doing that. Like, yeah, no shit,
That's a
right?
damn good point, dude.
Yeah,
That's a damn good
valid
point.
point. Like total blind spot, right? It's not like,
And the key for me in this one is like similar to that is I didn't know these gamers. I knew two of them at the table,
right?
Too. I think who else was playing with Tom Flanagan? I think might have been in that one. I can't remember. But anyway, I knew two players, Angela and this other person, and I didn't know the other guys. And because of that, if I was playing with my my middle daughter, Rhiannon's gay, and she's openly gay, and if I would play with her, I would I know my child, I know this. If I'd play with some of my friends or some of my kids' friends, like, oh, this person's gay, this person's trans, I know this, I know this, I know this. I didn't know these people, and I walked in with a stupid preconceived notion. So I purposely, one of the reasons I do this in Avalon all the time. But the names in Avalon, Scout, Doc, Sarge, and so forth, these are nicknames that people call you. These are street names and so forth. I always say that. But they're very neutral names. Anybody could take that name. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can be a Sarge and not be.
Doesn't matter
male,
what your gender, nationality, perceptions. None of that matters. And it works really well in my Avalon setting, which is one of the fun things I have in that space. And then when I ran my World of Darkness games, I make sure I have an equal number of different things. And I say, these things are open to you. These are names attached to this and such. Names are changeable. This is changeable. And I lead with that. Say, this was just a perception. Change it as you wish. You don't have to be a woman. You could change this to be man. You could be gay. You could be trans. I don't care. Do whatever it is you want to do. Because I don't know you. So a lot of people playing at my table, I don't know you. And some of the BSers, I know a lot of them, but I don't know them.
Yeah,
right.
We didn't
so
grow
I'm
up
still
with them.
Exactly. I didn't grow up with them. I don't talk to them every day, all the time. It's not, I don't have the same type of experiences you and I have had, Sean, together.
We're putting it all together, though, just so everybody knows.
Exactly.
We're freaking frantically writing shit down all the time, taking notes, getting the database together.
But anyway, that was a serious one. I wanted to not, I don't know, necessarily close with on my side, but that was one that I want to make sure I said today that was a big deal for me, was going through this and listening to the men, the women, the different people talking about different things, perceptions, reality, and how they are treated, and listening and seeing some of the crazy ass shit that people have done to hurt people in our hobby. And I sure as fuck do not want to be that person. I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that person. And if that takes a little bit of extra effort on my part to make sure that when I make my characters, that my NPCs or my pre-gens or whatever it is, I can make sure that I'm, not offending somebody. It's not even work, man. They're just making cool PCs.
Yeah.
Anyway, got anything else on your side?
I don't think so. I think that's a good spot. I think we covered everything. I had a couple online gaming I had down and obsessed with game mastering. So I think both of those were something we tackled already. So I don't really have anything else. Is there any last ones you wanted to leave off with other than that?
No, I think the only other one I could think of is that the beauty of when I first started doing this, Sean, we've told this story a bunch of times. Sean's like, hey, we should do this. Well, what the fuck would I do that for? What's a podcast? That's stupid. Mm-hmm. Right. So first off, this is fun.
So Brett found podcasts to be more interesting
thing than I ever thought they would be. And I honestly didn't think anyone would give a shit what Sean and I had to say. He's like, hey, look, if we get nobody, we get somebody, blah, blah, maybe we'll get and Sean be like, maybe we'll get 100 people. I'm like, 100 people? Are you kidding me? That's insane. And wow, it's really cool. And
now we have 100,000
of this. Yeah, whatever. But one of the cool things that taught me was like, Avalon Kickstarter, try it, go for it, do something creative, do something creative and do it. Yeah. Do something creative and do it. And you're gonna have a bad show. Crap, I don't like that show. I didn't like that one as much as last one. That show felt good. Turns out nobody else liked it. Damn, that was weird. But it's kind of that game mastering thing and the player thing. Try something, do something different, give it a go. This is a very creative endeavor in the hobby, in this space. And if you think there's been a number of people who listen to us, they've started their own podcasts. Some have faded, some have grown, some have died off or whatnot. Kudos to everybody who's tried it, or said, hey, I like this idea. I'm going to try to run this game. I'm going to try to run this podcast. I'm going to do this thing. Even if it doesn't work out, the fact that you tried it and you put some effort into it, that's a lot. I also learned a lot that Sean does a fuck ton more work than I ever thought he did. The more I learned about how the amount of work that Sean puts into this thing. But seriously, though, I learned to really appreciate the work that other people put out, and I'm not as critical. When I first started listening to certain podcasts, I'd be like, oh, the sound quality, oh, the this, oh, the that. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's 40 hours worth of work. That's 6 hours worth of work. Holy shit. I appreciate the effort that goes into it, and I appreciate the creativity that people pour into things. And when they really put their heart and soul into it, you can feel it and you can see it. So we good, man?
We're good. Let's get into die roll.
Let's wrap that up.
Die roll. 2 to 4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery we want to share with you. And I am not overly prepared. First one is, oh, booger. I went through all
I'll throw one out there right now. So I threw this out there. We had the Broken Compass talk at the beginning. I put a link in the show. our friend Edwin, one of the Mainers. I was hoping to. I should have. Next time I go bear hunting out there, I'll have to make time to go talk to Edwin as well. But yep, that's out there. Dwarven Fiasco. Link in the show notes. He's on Indiegogo.
Yes.
Dwarven Fiasco.
Yeah, Edwin Nagy put it out there. It's a good one. And then the second one, new podcast by Todd Crapper and Danny Delisle, I think is Danny's name. And they have Covenstead, a podcast of gaming and magic. So
Very cool.
Check out Todd's new show. And then we got a link to Broken Compass that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then professional. So Game Master Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Brett's going to be on there. I just have to find a time. But I just dropped, I say we as in the people that were on there as well, Professional Game Mastering with Nikki and Don. I need to get them back on because I think I have more questions. So
I'll say this again, man. I think that's a really good idea. When you were explaining to me what the GM Mastermind process was and what you're looking to do with it, I think I may have joked with you, wow, you could take the Gaming BS catalog and open it back up, but you totally can. I mean,
totally can, yeah.
It's like a really good next step of getting that feedback and play. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I have one in the tank for Kimmy from Happy Jacks and Jared Rasher of What Do I Know JR.com and Senda from Pandas Talking Games, and she's a
awesome.
super geek, all talking about Session 0. So that'll come out in a couple weeks from today. I got a couple others lined up as well. So yeah, and I'm gonna tap some folks that expressed interest in being on. So it's not little patience. The list is long. We'll get you on there, and Brett as well. So Brett could talk about anything. That's the thing. I wanted to get him on the horror suspense one, but I can't.
Fortunately or unfortunately, yeah, you can't shut me up that one. Yeah.
So yeah. So that is is there anything else?
No, man. I think that's it. I think that's it for today.
All right. Well, that's been an episode of Gaming in BS. Thanks.
Next show is the AMA.
The next show is the AMA, and I have to go back and see what questions we have. I grouped most of them, but I think I got to go back in again.
Okay.
Because I certainly, while I would love to talk for hours, I don't know if we have the time to talk for 4 hours to get through all of them. So
we're gonna do our damnedest to get through as many as we can.
Yes.
And give each question the diligent answer that it deserves. I mean, quite frankly,
yes,
there's probably a couple of cutesy questions. I'm assuming, like what's your favorite kind of pie? Something like that may show up in there. I don't doubt. But point being, if you asked a question, and my assumption is a BSer means it when they ask us a question, and you deserve a good answer. So we'll do our best to answer everything we can. And it's gonna be a long show, Sean. There's no two ways around it.
Yeah, and so we will like, I'll let Brett monitor the chat. He can look at it and be distracted. We're going to interact with the chat. So if you're here, great. We'll acknowledge you. Typically, we don't do that during our recordings because the flagship show is audio, and so it's kind of jarring. The last show, shit. If
Who
somebody
cares anymore?
listens to
Whatever,
the
let
audio
it go,
show
let
and
it
they're
go.
like, this experience sucks. Well, you got 383 other shows you could listen to that'll be probably a little bit better. I don't know if Brett has time. I'm putting him on the spot, but
dude, I got the day. That evening, I've got the evening.
I was thinking, like, after we're done recording, we bop over to Discord or Zoom and, crack open a couple and hang out for like an hour with anybody who's got time. It's on a Monday night, so it's going to be a little weird.
You're going to make me call in sick on Tuesdays, which I'm going to do because 2 in the morning.
Man. Yeah, it's not going to be, all night or anything, but it'll, we can do one kind of meet up or something after the fact. Yeah.
It's absolutely
rap party. That's what they call them, rap parties, right?
I seriously, I plan that evening is like, hey, it's from 8 p.m. until I'm done, whenever that is.
Yeah, so. I am setting that stage as well. So, Yeah. So if you've seen this and you're subscribing and you're in the chat, give us a like, please. Thank you. Like it matters if it gets liked and if the YouTube channel goes up.
I think the only other thing I'll say here at the tail end is that of this episode anyway, is that Sean and I aren't kidding when we talk about the things we learned. We really, I mean it. And I know Sean does too. This is shit we learned and stuff introspectively. There's more. We could go on for hours and hours and hours, as we always do, or could. But I would not. I would hazard that Sean would not either. Without this organization of the BSers and the feedback loop that you all provided to us, I've said this before, is that we can have a mediocre show or an average show or whatever you want to call it. But I'll tell you, the BSer feedback, not just the, hey, I like it, people calling BS on us, adding pits, telling us their stories, giving other ideas and input. I have learned a shit ton from all y'all. I really have. And in case I forget to say it next time, I can never thank you all enough for that.
Yeah. Hashtag truth.
I mean, as much as Sean and I love learning and talking about this stuff, you know, the next iteration of this is Sean, Brett, and the rest of y'all at a con, in the bar or at the restaurant or whatever. And whenever we've had that opportunity, it's just wonderful. That's the best stuff. And learning from everybody who's been involved and taking the time to talk to us and tell us their opinions and their perspectives and their insights. That's just awesome. Man, I can't thank you enough. I really can't. So thank you.
Yep. For sure. So,
all right, man.
I tell you to subscribe to the podcast, but
but who cares?
You know, whatever. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. Delete us. The fuck do we care? No, okay. Wow. I got dark in a hurry.
And on that note, I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.